Hello, this is replacement of part 5 video because if you remember in my other video I found some errors when importing the database, and although the error that come up saying it deleted 170 records, it didn't, but I found another way around it where it is literally error free, so I thought I'd replace that part of video with this one. Okay, so going through this again, we need to import the database. So you may encounter errors during your exam. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that you can prevent those errors. So here it says you're going to prepare some reports for the company. Make sure all currency values are in euros into 2 decimal places. As I've reiterated many times, it is very important that you do read every word on a task and actually engage with them, because you could be missing some vital information that can cost you an awful lot of marks. Right, so we go to external data, and they're usually text files. They're generally CSV, which are text files. So make sure, please, that you are in import. I have come across students that are trying to do it through export. Import means to bring something in. So we're going to import our text file. We're going to browse, and you should be able to pick it up from your source files, and it's S16 cars. Now, the problem I found is when this imports, if we go through the normal steps of importing, as you usually would, like the first row always contains field names. As you can see, this first row here is the field names. If you forget and go on to next, it's going to call them field 1, field 2, and then you'll have to go and edit those. It takes time, and then you'll have to delete this record. But if you've gone this far, no worries, just go back and select first row contains field names. If you've gone through the whole process of importing, just delete the table and import again. It is much, much shorter. Okay, now the error that I've picked up on is that Access doesn't recognize. So I'm just going to actually cancel this, and I'm going to show you. If we go to S16 cars, when you actually scroll down, these engine sizes here of 600 become N/A, and for some reason Access cannot recognize them. I have no idea why. Okay, they just seem to have problems with them. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that it can import them and it can recognize them as a character. So we go back to our import steps. It's already got the file, but I'm just going to double check and reselect the file. It has it. Go through the steps here. Next, first row contains field names. Always tick that box, please. And what you want it to do is now that you want it to basically, you want to change the field types to the ones that are actually on the exam. Now, I've gone through this step here before, but for some reason it doesn't work as well as if we go to advanced. And in advanced, you're doing exactly the same thing. So VIN is short text, model is text, powers text, engine size that's come up with long integer. So we need to change that to text so it recognises DNA. But for some reason, if we go through it any other way, it doesn't recognise it. So I'm going to select this as short text. And cost price should be currency. Now, my currency is defaulted to pounds as my computer is English. But we're going to change that in just a moment. Colour should be text, distributor should be text, and dispatch is not long integer, it's Boolean logical. Now, if you're not sure what it is, because if you look at the steps here, Boolean logical doesn't exist, okay? So just read the descriptions here where it says display the report as yes stroke no, and yes stroke no is an option on here at the top. Okay, press OK. That's done now. So we go to next. Never let Access change your own primary key unless the exam specifies. But if you read here, just underneath it says set the VIN as the field, as the key fields. So basically that's the vehicle identification number. So we're going to say no, I'll choose my own, and it's chosen here. It's done. Go to next, and now this will import with no errors. Okay, we have no problems there. Now what we need to do, and you should check this regardless of whether your computer is in Europe or not, go to view, and you can see that all the fields here should be correct, but my currency may be set to pounds. So if I go back and view here and we look at the currency, you see it's set to pounds. Right, we need euros at 2 decimal places. So I'm going to select euros, and I'm going to select 2 decimal places. Now, when you're actually doing your evidence, okay, you need to make sure that you are showing the examiner that you have set that to 2 decimal places. So if I just skip down here to evidence 3, it says take a screenshot showing the field names and data types used in the 2 tables. Insert these screenshots into your evidence document. So I'm just going to extend this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep currency here selected, the cost field, because then I've shown the examiner that it is in euros and it's to 2 decimal places. So please try and think ahead in those terms. Okay, it's very, easy to just skip it, but don't do that, please. Make sure that you are showing the evidence. Okay, so here's my database field structure screenshots. Here's my cars table here. Okay, and the examiner can see that quite clearly. Right, I'm just going to, before I close this table actually, now the difference is earlier is when I saved my table, remember all the blank spaces? Well, they're no longer there. They actually do contain NA. So these steps that I found here are much more efficient and probably more what the examiner is looking for. So I'm going to close this table now, and I'm going to quickly import my next table. My next table, I don't need to change anything. Okay, so this is my distributors table. Press OK. But do read the document, please. Okay, so next, first row contains field names. Next, and I'm going to check my document, and it says here set the distributor code as the key field. So that is going to be my key field. Here it is. Next, and finish. And they're both here, and you need to remember, please do show the screenshots for both of them. So I'm going to select my table, and I'm going to go home. I'm going to open it here, view, and print screen. And show my distributors table here. So you can see my screenshots are now filling up with no problems at all. Right, so now the next part of the exam is asking us, I believe, to create our relationships. Now this is the first time I believe Cambridge have done this, but I'm going to show you this, the relationships. So it clearly says create a one-to-many relationship as a link between, and this we need to pay attention, the distributor's code field in the distributors table and the distributor field in the cars table. Okay, now there always has to be a foreign key and a primary key to make a relationship. So as you can see, the distributor's code field in a distributors table is our primary key, and a distributor will be a foreign key in our other table. Now we're going to make our relationships, which is very, very short. Okay, now we go to database tools and relationships. Now what we need to make sure before we make our relationships is all our records, our tables are closed. If they're not closed, they won't create a relationship. And to create a relationship is incredibly easy. Okay, so remember, it's the distributor's code and the distributor's field here. You just simply drag them down together. Always enforce referential integrity on the exam paperwork mark scheme. We don't need to show that, but I always do anyway. But what they're looking for is a one-to-many relationship. Before I close this, it says, take screenshot evidence showing a relationship between the two tables. Okay, now if you do accidentally close this, like I created it, and then I've read the paperwork, it's still here and showing this anyway. So this is all you need, just this screenshot. Go to your evidence, pop in your print screen, and it's done. May want to move, just for consistency, move this down. Okay, and that's your relationships created. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. Click on the part 6 of the video to find out how to do the queries and the reports.